Friends, comrades, fellow admirals, I am Admiral Andre and welcome back to the second episode of Kerbal space program Sandbox. I must say I'm actually very happy with the previous episode and episode 0 as well, so this is definitely going up, so there we go, third time is the charm. So we launched our test variant of the R7 just now. I did exit the game and come back in. So we just have the debris from the launch clamps, but they will clear that automatically for the next launch. So let's just go back in. And what I forgot to do is actually to open up the test variant. Luckily I saved before the second launch. And all that I want to do is to put it into the sub-assembly folder, basically, just so we have it now. This is now no longer the test variant, so I'll just take everything from the fairing plate there and put it into the folder. So this one is just now the R7, and I guess I'll just put here single stage because we're not dealing with the upper stages yet, so I have no idea how much mass this can actually put into orbit, but we can figure that sort of thing out as we go. So I'll just put that aside since we've got it open anyway, and let's actually build the Sputnik, or in our case the Stayputnik. And for that it obviously has to be the Stayputnik core. I mean, that's where this got its inspiration from, the real thing, so we have to sort of copy that. Then I want to add an extra battery, because the power that this thing has, if I can just drop that, it's only 10, and it's a nice feature now that we can tell it to hibernate and in warp as well, so it can be either manual or auto, but still 10 is not going to last long, and we certainly want the signals from this thing to reach as many Kerbals as possible, because it's sort of a marketing thing, you know. It is a bit about science, but not really. It's more about the achievement. So the longer it can stay alive in orbit, the better. But I don't want solar panels yet. It's not an appropriate thing for this yet. So let's just put it up nice like that. I think that fits nice and flush with the battery now. The only problem that we have at the moment is, of course, that this probe core does not have the SAS control, so it will not be able to actually lock to prograde, and that will make the ascent a little bit more difficult. I'm half tempted to put another probe core somewhere in the booster itself, but let's see if I can actually manage it on my own manually, so we'll see. Then just finally, of course, some antennas, and this is a facet of the game that I'm still getting used to, because I have never really played very far other than my 2 previous Let's Play attempts with 1.2. So getting all of this right is quite important, because otherwise we will lose signal, of course. And because it's Sandbox, the DSN network, the Deep Space Network, is fully upgraded. So if we have a look at, for example, the Stayputnik, on a level 3 DSN it can reach 35 million meters, which is 35,000 kilometers, which is more than enough to reach even past the moon. But for the effect of it, I want 4 of these extendable antennas, because the real thing had it, and you know, again, it doesn't have to be too realistic, but certainly it will help. I guess just somewhere like that, and then slightly angled downwards as well, since the real thing had the whiplash antennas, you know, more towards the back, not really sticking out on the sides, I think. So just like that, more or less. So the mass of this is a whopping 80 kilograms, which is, well, I weigh a little bit less than that, so I could take a ride on this rocket. But anyway, we can just reproduce the, you know, the fairing there. But let's just see, we will need a decoupler now. We can't forget that. So let's take the smallest one. It fits very nicely anyway. And what I like to do is I want to drop the force% to a very low number, let's say 4, because all I want is for this thing to release the satellite and move it very slightly away. I don't want it kicking the payload into a higher orbit, because the payload is so light anyway. The explosive charges of the decoupler will have a measurable effect, so let's minimize it. Then all I have to do is put the booster on like that, and of course this is not working, so let's create a new fairing, delete fairing and build fairing. So now it's not going to be the real thing. Obviously the real thing was just a very small satellite, so in this case I'll just put it up if I can, and then somehow meet at the top, something like that. And if it's possible, I'd like a clamshell deployment. I think it will work nicely if it just splits in 2. I think that works, you know. I think this is actually gonna be nice. So let's see, is there anything else I have to do? Oh yes, I just have to make sure about the decoupling and all of that. So we'll just put it down closer to the surface, something like that. And I will say this is the R7. Oh, it's all gone. R7 Stayputnik, and then I'll just rename the satellite once it's in orbit, hopefully. So save and release the fairings before the final decoupler, and I think we're ready to go. That should do. Let's see. Actually, for the sake of it, just to make it easier, I can use an action group, just one on the antennas, if I can get in here now, to say toggle antenna. Then I don't have to click on 4 of them at the same, you know, one after the other. So let's go. Now I must say I really love KSP. I've played over 400 hours, and that's just in Steam. And before that, well, it was also Steam. I've had it now since about June in 2013. And initially I played a lot offline because I had a 3G internet connection that charged me by the megabyte. Now it's an ADSL, not the fastest. That's why I don't do 1080p uploads yet. But anyway, so I have more than 400 hours in KSP. So let's see if this thing works. And of course no SAS, so here we go. Hope for the best. 3, 2. Oh yes, one more thing. Hold the launch. Wait. I would like to go on an inclined orbit of about 45 degrees from the 90. So either north or south won't matter, but let's pick south because there's fewer opportunities for the boosters to fall on populated areas. And let's just see, because then we'll be able to reach more of the surface, you know, and more people will be able to pick up the transmission and see the actual satellite moving in space. So it's about the marketing again. Let's go. Of course, getting this right is going to be difficult, but I don't care about a precise orbit. And certainly the first rocket launches and satellites were not in absolute precise orbits. Hopefully the fins will help. Okay, that was too early, I think. I can mitigate it by moving just back a little bit again. So what was I saying about having it not be perfect? This was like not perfect at all. It's absolutely wrong, but anyway. Whoops, oh well. Yeesh, this is a very bad ascent. Okay, well, we'll see what we can do. If it's a fail, it's a fail. We live with it. So, too early, way too early for the gravity turn. No, this is a total bust. Abort. Now, of course, it's just gonna fall all the way down, and I could just go back to the Space Center right now, but it will delete it anyway, so let's just revert to launch. Pretend we had a fail. So, next time, don't turn so early. Let's have a look if I can do it a bit better. And I keep pressing the T as if it's gonna help. Okay, just leave it. Do nothing. And there's something I was thinking about. You know, as I'm building things, I might share it with you, the viewers, if you are interested. So I think I'll put a link, maybe to a Dropbox or something. Oh, we're deviating. In the description of each of the KSP videos, and then it will always be the same link, but then after we build something like the R7, I'll just put it in there, so if people want to play along, then they can just download it if they want. Doubt if anyone will be interested, but hey, it adds an element of interactivity at least. So now maybe we can turn a little bit. So we have to turn a bit more to the south than to the 135 degrees, because the rotation of the planet will still pull it more towards the 90. But again, I don't worry if it's not precise. I think this is much better. It does take a bit of concentration, of course, but there we go. I'm not doing anything now at the moment. And yes, it is way too steep, but as long as it works. This is what I was saying about the early attempts, you know. I'm pushing it to the 135 now as hard as I can, just so we can try and make it not so steep. At least there's no danger of flipping over, because the aerodynamics keeps it automatically on the prograde to a large extent. And I think that is more to do with these nose cones than the wings, because the nose cones tend to, since the air hits the nose cone here, it pushes it to that side, and the same on the other side, so it balances it out. And our speed is decent. I'll just drop it a little. Okay, we're going very high now already. I'll say about a 100 kilometer orbit. There we go, I can just switch to the orbital one now. Let's try getting it more to 135. Okay, stop there. Now we are gonna have a problem, because it will probably tend to flip, so I'll have to just burn a bit more to keep it on prograde. Since there is still some atmosphere, and any kind of wobble now or rotation can't be offset with SAS. So no perfect orbits here. Anyway, I can release the fairing now. But let's release, because we haven't even released the booster yet. Oh well. That is such a nice effect. I love it. Korolev was a genius, absolutely. And that works very nicely, and I think we'll have more than enough fuel. Now I have a lot more freedom. The atmosphere is no longer affecting us. So let me just actually wait until we're closer to prograde, about 20 seconds or so. Something like that. We still get a decent thrust to weight ratio. More than enough fuel, I'm thinking. Okay, we've passed our apoapsis, but that's okay. It was higher than I wanted anyway. Maybe it wasn't a good idea to release the boosters so early. Oh well, let's see what we can do anyway. Certainly a challenge. And I just love how these little nozzles move each time. Oh, it's more than enough fuel. there we go, 110 by 109. That works in my book, so let's separate. If I can, okay, I can't do anything. Let's just separate, and that's what I want. Just a gentle separation. It doesn't really change the orbits. Now, if I just forward a little bit, it of course freezes it. So there we go, the rotation at least. Now, when I'm in an inclined orbit, I always like to change the view to free, or the camera, because it keeps the ground on the bottom, and since the ground is still our reference frame here, or Kerbal at least, that makes more sense. So let's extend all of the antennas, and how's that? Now I can just rename the satellite. And it is a probe, so there we go. Very nice. Now this won't relay any signals, which I wouldn't want anyway. This is just a normal satellite. So let's go around a few times and see what it looks like. Very, very nice. I love these rivers as well. Absolutely stunning. So I think that is a very nice first satellite. So there we go. Stayputnik 1. I wanted to say Sputnik 1, but that's obviously what we're basing this on. But there's Stayputnik. So let's go home. And it will stay there for a while, because I think as soon as we switch away, the battery is basically not being used anymore. So anyway, it's fine. So let's see, what can we do now? I think let's move to the next morning. There we go, very fast. At least I don't want to do everything on day one, you know. So let's go back to the VAB. And now I want to launch Sputnik 2. Now for this one, I actually want to go back to Wikipedia. So if we just go and have a look quickly. And there's my Audacity. Okay, Sputnik 2. Now this is obviously the one that had the dog Leica in it, which of course I wouldn't want to do anyway. And there's another Kerbal. Anything you look for a rocket, you'll always find KSP somewhere in the images, which I really love. So this one, let's have a look. Basically all of them show it has like the cylinder on the bottom, then a sphere, and then this strange thing, I don't know, and then struts on the sides basically. Now where would its antennas be? This one shows, oh okay, it has these kind of hoop antennas that they used with Vostok, and I don't know what these things are, and these looks like another antenna. Shame, is that the... oh, that's a cat or something, or a pug, I don't know. But that shows where the poor dog was in anyway. Okay, so this is what it looks like. I don't know if I can recreate this bottom part here. Certainly the sphere and the cylinder, don't know about that, but let's see what we can do. So okay, we've done this, so I'm going to keep the rocket. Obviously it's the same R7, the normal stock standard one, so I can now just throw this out. So for this one, I think let's use the small probe core, the octo thing here, the flat one. And actually, you know, no, let's take this one. So this would be the basically the RC001S remote one, the 1.5 meter one. So I think this would actually work. It shows like sort of a computer, you know, the controls and all of that of the satellite. So now I have some ideas here. I have no idea if this is going to actually work though. So put some of these on the top. Let's just take 3 just for now. Then the cylinder is very easy to recreate because we have 2 choices. We can either take the mystery goo unit but it looks a bit small. Or we can take, although the mystery goo would actually be quite appropriate because it is kind of like a biosample container. In a sense, let me see. So we'll take this one though. I think this one fits the scale a bit better. So we take the monopropellant out, and Werner von Kerman will just add the biosample in here. And there's actually only one video where we got to see another of the species that lives on Kerbal. And I think it was the science video, the trailer for the science addition to KSP. They had like a small creature in one of the videos. I should actually go and look it up. But anyway, so that is basically what we're putting in this tank here. Not a dog or a cat. We don't even know if they exist on Kerbal. So now I just want to move it to the middle-ish. Again, this is ish. Since it's empty, if it's not perfectly balanced, it won't matter too much. I can't... let's put it like that. That doesn't look bad. Now, for the sphere, there I have an idea. The other monopropellant tank. I think this one works. So it'll be a bit difficult to now again get it precise because it doesn't really snap. I can try the two and just overlay them and see when they look nice, take the one away and plop it down. Then just take all the monopropellant out, and I guess we put some electronics or things in there. I just don't want it sitting so high up. Just like that, so they're not touching really. Something like that. And now I don't know what that thing on top was. What could work for that? It was like a square thing. Although I have an idea. This... it can work actually, surprisingly, if I move it up. I never use this part. Something like that. That's fine. Now we have to put those struts on. Is it gonna be possible? I'll have to do it from the bottom because nothing wants to snap to that not Rockomax micronode, or to the tanks for that matter. So 4 of them, and let me actually rotate them so that they point inwards. Something like that. Now that doesn't look very neat though, unless I do it like this. Okay, then it snaps to that. But you know, I don't think that's bad. If I just go back, you see these little struts anyway attached to the sphere. Then there are other things going to the block on the top. But anyway, we can't reproduce that, so I'm fine. I think this is fine. Just see, yes, nothing will snap here, so let's leave that. Now they have sort of an antenna thing on the top there, so let's see if I can actually get just one sticking out like that. And then they had those hoop antennas on the sides. Like that, so 2 it seems. So there's the one on the top. It's not exactly in the middle, but that's okay. Don't know what these things are. Probably more antennas. But so let's put 2 of the 16S. Just to use them, you know. Again, the probe has more than enough range, but still it's for the appearance. Aha. I have an idea. Though this will probably not work so well. If I can line them up with the other struts, like that, it forms like a nice clean line there. This could be nice. I have no idea how I would make the fairings work. But that looks super interesting, to be honest. I'm actually really surprised. Let me put some batteries on. Now this is deviating from that design now, but oh well. Like I was saying always, this is Kerbal, so we'll not mind about that. I don't know about these lights. Okay, they're sitting next to the antennas. I don't mind that. And this is not a return, sadly. So whatever is on board of this is not coming home. Like that. I like this. I'm really happy with this, to be honest. That just looks so interesting. So let us put this one on now. I'm not too sure what I'm gonna do here. The fairings will obviously, this stuff will clip through the fairings. Maybe it would be better to take this off and just use the same as the top. Oh well, it's okay. Putting them somewhere like that. I just want to see again if the lines will look the same. That's actually not bad either. And I think it's decent. We can rotate it a little bit, but I don't want to get too obsessed about these sorts of things. There we go. Now the question is, can this still work? Even with the antennas retracted, maybe if I move them into the body a little bit, we're still gonna have a problem. But it will be less of a problem, let's put it like that. So now, the decoupler. Again, I want the small one. Again, at the minimum, so let's say a 4, if that worked well. Now, what I can do with this actually, as you can see, where is the thing now? All of those attachment points, those are actually for interstage fairings, and I'm thinking we can use that if we attach, but now I have to be careful to attach it to the bottom, not to the stuff at the top there. Like on that node. And we see it works because it shows the plate there. That will give us just a little bit more room to sort of deviate the fairing around the antennas, not like this. Still has to work, you know. Delete and build. Actually, if I could see it from a better angle, something like that, that'll work. There we go. It's wider than the other one, but that's okay. So this is Stayputnik. Whoops, select an attached part. No. There we go. Save. Everything here seems to still work, so let's launch this, and I think this can just go into a more or less equatorial orbit because I'm still in the offset control, because this is just more for us to get, you know, data from space. We have no idea how biological things will behave in space, and if it's even possible for us to go. So this is a test, not really for marketing or for the people to really pick up the signals. So let's just save again and launch. So it's an early morning, and this time I will have the SAS because of the probe, so that will make it a bit easier. And let's go. Sorry for whoever's inside there, I really don't like it, but there you go. Gentle liftoff. Doesn't have to have a perfect equatorial orbit. And this one can go a bit higher than the other one, or not, I don't know. Doesn't have to be, because we really just want some data from low orbit, so it doesn't matter. It's pulling the thing too far to the right. I'm trying to hold it back here now, just so we don't turn so fast, but it's too late. Whoops, well, that really is the thing about these rockets. You don't have a lot of maneuvering power. Okay, it's a fail. So whoever is in there is dead, I'm sorry. Okay, number 2 on the launch pad. Let's try again, shall we? That's the virtue of the sandbox. Do not turn unless we pass 100 meters per second or more. I'm so tempted to turn already because I'm used to more powerful rockets, but let's not. It does look very nice. I actually really love those struts. They look like they hold the thing together. Okay, let's start turning a bit now. It wants to go to the other side for some reason. See, already I have to fight it a lot. A bit more. Okay, now lock it in. I think that will be good. This is why we really need the vernier engines or the thrusters on the side of the boosters at this stage, because of the atmosphere. The core stage on its own is really not going to do well. Okay, passing the speed of sound. This is a good one. Ah, do love that. Perfectly on the 90, how about that? So each time we get a bit better, and of course part of it is because I'm getting more and more practice with this rocket, which is also why it's great to have the sub-assembly thing, because then in the future I will know the idiosyncrasies of the different rockets. Oh, a bit fast. And how to sort of optimize the turns and don't turn too soon, rather turn a bit later, that sort of thing, because each rocket behaves differently. And if you just use a once off each time, you never really get to learn the specifics. That is just the best thing ever. And we're already at 114, so I'll let us go to about 125. Separate fairing, very nice. And there we go. Let's just coast now to apoapsis. I think again about 40 seconds before. I'm not bothering with maneuver nodes right now. Okay, but too late, but that's fine, because now we do have the reaction wheel in the probe, so it helps a lot. Shall I do it yet? Alright. Time to apoapsis is falling, so that's great. I don't want it to climb too much at this point. Very nice view from up here. This is such a nice rocket. The only difficulty is right in the very early phase when the turn has to be timed quite precisely, and then we don't have a lot of control. There we go. We passed apoapsis, but periapsis is climbing very fast. Okay, I overdid it a little, but that's fine. Now let us separate. Absolutely like butter. Flawless. Just releasing it. Oh man, that just is like poetry. Okay, I want to go back to my free camera again, because the ground really should be at the bottom for me. So now we can just extend the auxiliary antennas here. Extend. And I'll turn off the SAS, we don't need it anymore. Then rename vessel. And just take the R7 out of the deal. And save. I wonder what this one sounded like. Probably also beeps, but not really though, because this one again was just about getting the data back home. Speed it up a bit to separate the rocket. You can see, because we were kicked slightly faster than the booster. But I actually wonder now, why are we in a lower orbit then? Well, it's not really, because the center of its mass is around there. Oh well, I was thinking then this is slower now, so it should be in a lower orbit than us, but oh well, it happens over time. If we just give it a moment, you see now it's happening. Now it moves underneath us, because we are in a very slightly higher orbit. But that is so awesome. Look at this thing. Just fantastic. Okay, this series is going very well so far. I'm very happy with it. So you can expect more of this, you know, more experiments and things like that. So really sorry to whoever is inside here. Of course no one, but we pretend. Anyway, it teaches us that space can be survived. If we're in a tin can, of course. So let's go home. And then I will end the episode here. There we go. So far I actually haven't had any trouble with the sound being, you know, longer than the video. So for some reason it's not happening this time. I explained it all in episode 0. So hopefully that will continue. Anyway, have a fantastic day.